experiencing mating and fighting, lying flat in the snow with a camera and a long lens in 90 meters a second wind. It was a unique life experience. Watching border skirmishes, fights for life and death, and hunting were all experiences that will always be memorable. I've never expected fox photography to become a business opportunity. Knowing how unique foxes are and the interest of hunters in shooting them, I never considered this a possibility in Iceland. The Arctic fox is protected in most countries, not in Iceland. There are 26 areas in Iceland where it's protected, but the fact is this: the government sponsors hunting. According to hunting reports from the Environment Agency, 7,948 foxes were killed in Iceland in 2020. Most Arctic fox hunters believe they are helping nature. When settlers arrived in Iceland before the year of 1000, the Arctic fox was the only native land mammal. The settlers began hunting the fox, believing it was necessary for the survival of their lambs. Tax was even said that required each farmer to hunt a certain number of foxes. Today, research has shown that the Arctic fox causes minimal harm to farmers, and apart from few locations where eiders are protected, there's a reason to believe fox hunting is now more of a sport than a necessity. We wear camouflage clothing not to conceal ourselves from Arctic foxes, but from people, specifically hunters. The color of our clothing has no bearing on the Arctic fox. We started trying to photograph foxes in an organized manner in 2009. At that time, this photography was a big challenge for us, and we pursued this activity like a secret. We emphasized achieving images that show certain behaviors. We had never seen cubs nursing. We had never seen a photograph of an Arctic fox nursing its cubs. In the first years we used a hide, just as we were used to when photographing seagulls and falcons. However, the experience taught us that hides are not always needed. Our approach, behavior and movements determine whether they perceive us as a disturbance or not. We will cherish the first images we captured of a vixen with cubs nursing. It was in 2011. We had been sitting in the hide for many hours. It was hot outside and the cubs had peeked out of the entrance to the den several times without showing any particular interest in us. Suddenly, a fox appeared in the distance with a northern fulmar. The cubs came running towards her and were excited and eager, and she went into the den with the northern fulmar, and for a long time we could hear the cubs' cries and imagined that they were eating the prey. After a while, she emerged and the cubs followed her, clearly having feasted on the northern fulmar. Above the entrance to the den there was a slight slope where she lay in the sun and occasionally let the cubs suckle. She looked at us occasionally also when the Nikon D3 cameras were clicking away. The silence was total. When a low sound of a passing car in the distance was heard, she tensed up and probably prepared to enter the den. After a worried glance in the direction of the sound, she relaxed and continued to bask in the sun. We were initially a little surprised that she wasn't afraid of the sound of the cameras. We wondered if the clicks were not simply familiar to her. Northern wheatear, often seen near foxes, makes a very similar alarm sound when he's around foxes. Photographing foxes is particularly sensitive, and one should never stay too close to them for too long or approach them in a way that causes disturbance. It's also an art to approach a fox without causing any disturbance. Not all foxes are the same. Often the best method is to let the fox come to you. In the media, there are articles about complaints about tourists or photographers disturbing foxes by photographing them. There are even speculations about banning Arctic fox photography. No comment is made that at the same time, thousands of Arctic foxes and cubs are shot, some even while nursing. I don't have to explain how absurd this sounds. Taking pictures of them causes no concern in comparison to killing them. Still, it's annoying if photographers are not careful, keep a distance and know when to back off. Today there are signs that travel companies and tour operators view Arctic foxes as a resource, marketing fox photography for foreign photographers and going to certain places in the Westfjords within protected areas is a good example. This development began a few years ago, but until now it's been limited to a few protected areas. Currently, it's mainly foreign photographers who offer fox photography in cooperation with local travel companies. I'm not concerned with the danger to foxes from photographers. Foxes quickly understand when they're in danger from humans and when they're not. If handled properly, taking pictures of foxes in various situations is easy without causing them significant stress. The concern revolves more around whether Icelandic society is prepared for this development and whether those who sell these trips are aware of the interest of hunters in foxes. Similar speculations came up when a plan was to allow whale hunting in the vicinity of whale watching. It just doesn't work together. Today, officials take into account the importance of whale watching as one of the cornerstones of Icelandic tourism. We are slowly learning that you can't have the cake and eat it. It does not soothe me to know that photos are often taken in protected areas. Unfortunately, there are indications of fox hunting within these protected areas. Even places like Hornvík on the Hornstrandir Peninsula do not necessarily get peace. There are examples of hunters taking trips there, not necessarily to experience peace and tranquility in nature. In national parks, where all hunting and handling of firearms are prohibited, you can find bullet holes in signposts. One should always be cautious about revealing where foxes are located. Our photography is not limited to protected areas. Opportunities often arise in the most unlikely places throughout the country. It would be great if more landowners would see the potential of Arctic fox photography as a revenue, see them protect specific areas and contribute to the potential of Arctic fox photography being a resource similar to whale watching without risking meeting hunters in the area the next day. Landowners have the legal right to ban all hunting on the land. Maybe I'm just dreaming. Similarly, I would like to see foreign photographers and influencers work to promote discussions of the status of Arctic foxes in Iceland. Special fox photography tours by travel companies could be a good step in that direction. Over time, these tours could have economic significance for these companies and put pressure on government officials. Money holds power. On a more positive note, photography, videography, discussions and education about Arctic foxes can result in less cruelty against this native mammal. Hunting Arctic foxes is incompatible with Iceland's image as a modern and progressive nation that values conservation and sustainability. Iceland is a country that has long been associated with the beauty of its natural landscapes, and its people have always had a deep respect for the environment. However, the government's sponsorship of hunting Arctic foxes contradicts these values and tarnishes the country's image as a leader in sustainability. Viewing the fox as a resource, like our whales, waterfalls, mountains, glaciers, and geothermal energy, would be desirable. All of these attract tourists to the country and create national income. Sad but true, the value of things is often based on their economic worth. Now that it's possible to sell expensive fox photography tours to remote areas where photographers stay in cold and waterless houses, still paying large sums of money, perhaps it's possible to get Icelandic farmers to see the fox as a welcome source of income next time they see a fox scampering across their hayfield.
So far we are authors of 2 books together. Iceland, Wild at Heart, which came out in 2017 and has been a bestseller among the photographic and photography books in Iceland. And just a few months ago, whoa!
Have a good day.